So more climate considerations are your rainfall or total precipitation, the amount that you get per year, and the seasonal patterns that you get. That will affect, what your irrigation plans and what you need to supplement. Microclimates are really important. I say that living here on the Palouse, where we have rolling hills, and every site has a different microclimate, and those, you can really only know after you live there for a while. And so once you move to a place, you should start recording temperatures and keep track of that. And many of you might, if you've been gardening for a long time, you might already keep track of, kind of keep an average of the temperatures. Excuse me. Okay, winds, where are the prevailing winds coming from, and what is the degree of winds in your area? Certain areas are known for really, excuse me, really strong winds, and so you should be aware of that. The aspect and the coverage of the sun. You ought to know the hours per day that your site is getting, and what effect the changes of the seasons may have on your property. For instance, if you were planting fruit trees, you want to know where the winter sun hits the tree trunks. Usually those are painted white on the side of the tree trunk to prevent sun scald in the winter time, which occurs when the temperatures are cold and the sun is shining intently on the tree trunks. So all of these things are little pieces of the climate picture that you need to look at. I'm still got this cough in my throat. I apologize. So what do you currently have for buildings on your land, and are they currently being underutilized? Most places, you move into an old farm place and you may have buildings there that are in various stages of disrepair that you might be able to fix up. What you want to do is record everything that you have, and also record the condition that they're in and the potential uses. Look at your fencing that you may have and the type and use that this might be good for. Look at the age and condition, what needs, any fencing that needs replaced. You need to know what you've got there. And equipment. Do you have tractors? Do you have irrigation equipment? What kind of tools do you have that you might need? Any other equipment or tools that you might anticipate that you're needing. Okay, so along with the physical resources goes the map. And your map will help you see the whole picture of your property, and it can, if you make it specific enough, it can help you look at the assets and problem areas on your land. It can help you to look at different scenarios where you put different options down on your map and see what might work. There are a lot of different kinds of maps you can use. Plenty of us have explored with Google Maps. Makes an easy aerial map of your farm. But I wanted to give you some other resources to explore. These are a few of the things that I found that you might look at. It might give you some more ideas about how different maps that you can get together and how to use them. And so there are different types. What we're going to show you here is an aerial map, and just looking at the farm scape, if you see the area in yellow down there, that's the property we're going to look closer at. And here it is, a little closer. So that's about the level that you want it at, where you can see the buildings. You could see a pond if you had one. You see trees. You see different structures. And then this could be your aerial map, and then you could draw a map. Just draw it out on a piece of paper, and we do give you, for assignment 6, we do give you just a white piece of paper that has a legend in it. It doesn't have the symbols. You put in your own symbols for the legend, just kind of like this one did, and then you start marking up your map, and that way you could draw several different variations. And for your assignment, really, we just want you to get a map done, and so it can be an aerial photograph with some writing on it, or it can be something like this, whatever you choose to do. Some people like to do computer-generated maps, whatever you like. So get your map drawn. And as you're doing your evaluation, and you're looking at your land, you want to identify areas that may have weed problems, or, and definitely where water sources are, your well, and all of that. Okay, so we're moving on to beyond the natural resources of your land and the physical resources, and we want to talk about what might be some of the regulations that, and even though you haven't maybe decided on an enterprise, you kind of want to know what the regulations are before you jump into something. So if you were going to direct market something at the local farmers market, you want to know what some of the health regulations are. And so you would check with your local health department. In Idaho, there's there's like 7 or 8 health districts in the state, and they are where you go to for marketing and processing foods. And Idaho Department of Ag are where you go to for animal-related issues. Although poultry is under the health department, and Idaho is a right to farm state, and that's something that you ought to be aware of. Because you're farming, that's okay, but if people move into an area that has had an existing farming operation, they can't go in there and try to do something else and make complaints about the farm noises and smells and things like that. So that's the very generalized version of right to farm. But also you ought to know about noxious weed laws. There's Idaho Department of Ag site there, and that's where you can find names and pictures of all of the Idaho's noxious weeds. And there's probably a similar site in Washington. I'm sorry for those in Washington that I didn't put that on there, but it's important that you check that out and kind of get up on what noxious weeds you might have on your property. Zoning issues will also affect you, especially if you're urban farms or close to city limits. Knowing what the number and types of animals that you can have are important. There's building laws in every county. You need to go to your county planning and building department and know what some limitations are. We had a friend here in Moscow who built a greenhouse, and it was actually a hoop house, so it's not technically a permanent structure, but it was too close to the road, and there was some issue on that. Now Moscow has passed a urban farm ordinance so that they're more lenient in some of these structures like hoop houses, but you need to know what those laws are within your area, so start checking some of those out. Other things that you should consider are labor. Now you're thinking of general labor. What are the labor availability of labor in your area? If you should choose something like blueberries, for instance, you would want to know where you're going to get your labor. In different areas, labor is not as available, and you may have to rely on high school and college students. You may need to really think about that before you decide on a high labor intensive enterprise. Byproducts, that's an interesting one. You might look at your current farm or operation and look at any byproducts that you might have that may be generated for another part of the farm. And of course, animal manures are one of the big byproducts. You can make compost and use the compost. So, and even some bigger dairy farms have turned that compost into a product to sell. So, if you have a certain an operation already going, you just might look at the different byproducts because those could be resources. Liability insurance, you should know what your liability status is for having people on your farm. You'll, of course, if you decide to have a U-pick or any kind of operation where you're bringing lots of people on the farm, you will have to get liability insurance. But you should know what is covered in your base plan now, so you know what you would have to, your additional add. So in other words, it's a good thing to check into that even before you get started, just to know. So this seems outside of the farm, and it is, but you need to look at your market resources before you plan on what you're going to do also. What are the demographics of the area? Not just the number of people, the population, but what are the ages, their educational backgrounds, financial status. All of those play into who might be your target market. Are you a tourist destination? All of those, how the types of people that are in your area and the type of people that come to your area could be influential on marketing your product. The location of your market outlets, this would be like, do you have a co-op? Do you have farmers market? What date is the farmers market? And availability of processing. Some products that you want to market will need processing, and you should look around and see what is available if you chose to go that route. Commercial kitchens, livestock processing.